I'm Kevin.
I'm Caden.
And I'm Sam.
I'm Joseph, and our topic is teenage suicide and depression.
To prepare for this awareness video, we had an online survey for fellow students to provide their sincerest thoughts and personal experiences about depression. And we will be referring back to this survey throughout the video.
We also provided information from professional journals and national sources.
What? So man?
Even with friends, one can feel depressed.
Depression can be defined as a prolonged state of helplessness or hopelessness or feeling down that interferes with your daily life. Depression can lead to suicidal thoughts that cause suicide. Those who commit the act of suicide tend to heavily affect those close to them. In the anonymous survey, many have voiced that they felt at fault for the deaths of those close to them and regretted not realizing. The majority of the group were painfully hurt due to this and wanted to help. This includes those who are currently dealing with depression. These people are constantly in an unmotivated state with a lack of will and are entirely absorbed in negativity.
There are many factors that can lead to one's depression. These factors can range from abuse, death of a loved one, loneliness, stress, and other traumatic events. We believe one of the main factors of depression is the heavy workload and anxiety that the school provides. In our survey, the majority of students were stressed with various assignments including benchmarks, projects, essays, and finals. Not only this, few students voice their fear of not being able to attend college due to the lack of financial aid. Another factor that can lead to depression is the usage of social media and the internet.
As said before by Kevin, one key factor of depression is the constant use of social media. This results in the person losing the ability to communicate and socialize in the real world, leading to sheer loneliness with lack of friends. Also, the internet exposes teens to more forms of bullying, which is an additional warning that one might be dealing with depression. Friends may lightly tease or bully for entertainment, but in reality, it heavily inflicts pain upon others. Many have stated their insecurities and fears because of these taunts and mockeries. There are 4 out of 5 people who attempted suicide who have given clear warnings such as cut marks, not caring anymore, and lack of happiness. Yet suicide rates continue to increase, and these signals tend to go unnoticed. So what are some noticeable key signs of suicidal depression? Well, the reason as to why depression is hard to recognize is because people constantly mask their emotions and tend to lie in fear of hurting others and inferiority.
On a national level, approximately 40,000 people die through suicide every year, with 100 people every day. About 5,000 more people die through suicide than by a car accident. Within teens, through ages 10 through 24, about 2,000 people die every year through suicide, and suicide is the second leading cause within teens. 35% of people who have committed suicide have been diagnosed with mental illness. The sum of deaths has nearly tripled since the 1940s. According to the American Association of Suicidology, California has the leading number of deaths through suicide with over 4,000 deaths in the US. With so many tragic deaths, it is only the tip of the iceberg, as it is shown that a nationwide survey found 36% of students contemplating committing suicide.
Are you going to ask the question?
What experience have you had with suicide or depression?
Okay, well, for experience for suicidal depression, I've actually experienced it throughout middle school because I was bullied in middle school, like cyberbullied. So I was always really sad, and it got to the point where I didn't want to live anymore just because of stuff going on with family and stuff. And it's hard, especially if you have family problems and school problems. You really don't know where to turn to because family's supposed to be family. They're supposed to be those people who are always there for you, especially if you have these thoughts. But my family wasn't like that. But with friends, going to school and stuff, it was hard too.
What do you do when you notice someone else having the same feelings that you've had?
I tell them they're not alone, and telling someone they're not alone is probably one of the best things that a person can hear. Because in this world, when you're sad and you just want to die, you feel like no one cares about you. And you just have one person constantly like checking up on you and telling you like they care about you. Like that's like that's what's gonna make them feel better. And just being there and listening to them, having someone there for them.
Thank you for this.
I've had many experiences with those around me having suicidal thoughts or being suicidal, as a matter of fact. One of them left a really big scar on me, and it was one of my close friends. Probably about 2 years ago, this friend and her family went through some financial problems and couldn't really afford to pay for their own rent, or just basically afford to pay for anything at all. So she told me about the situation, and I was really heartbroken over it. I ended up inviting her and her family to move in and live with my family, which she ended up accepting, and that's what she did a month later. Everything was great. The experience was great. I felt like I had a brand new sister to myself. She was always around. We were always talking, and we felt like two real sisters. But things ended up taking a turn for the worst. Her parents filed a divorce on each other, which obviously left a big impact on her. Her grades began dropping drastically. She didn't really have anyone to talk to. I mean, I was always around, but she never told me anything about it. She always had a smile on her face. Like, I couldn't tell if she was sad. That's what made me feel really bad, because I know that I should have been around to ask her, like, how's your day? How's everything? But I didn't do that, which made me feel really bad. These experiences affected me immensely. She was like a sister to me. She always noticed and cared whenever I was down, so I felt like I should have done the same. That's why I invited her to live in my house. And so whenever her family gets enough money to afford their own house again, I was impacted for a long while. I couldn't recover for at least 5 to 6 months. And losing her made me into shaped me into the individual that I am today, made me stronger, and I know that she's watching me from above, so that's what made me feel really happy. And whenever I notice someone is sad, obviously just sitting them down and trying to talk them out of the situation is the most obvious thing. But sometimes you gotta keep this in mind though. Sometimes just talking them out of the situation isn't really gonna be enough, because you never know that when you leave, they're not gonna, cut themselves or hang themselves or anything like that. So physical action is actually really needed. From paying for their lunch, giving them money to pay for their house bills, or even sitting them down and letting them rant to you is enough. So anything along those lines would help. Make sure, and for those of you who are going through tough times, even though I don't know you and you don't know me, make sure you hit me up and talk to me about your problems, and I'll try my best to help you go through it, because I just want you to know that I care.
What experiences have you had with depression or suicide?
In my family, we've experienced 2 suicides. One was my stepbrother, which was 2 years ago, and the other was a family friend when I was in college. So that was dealing with that with others. I've worked for a long time with students. My first teaching job was working with students who suffered from depression and other like behavioral issues or emotional issues, and depression was often a common theme that with the students as they were dealing with that. And also me personally, there's been a couple times in my life where I was really struggling and considered suicide as an option, and I'm glad I didn't make that choice.
Because of your experiences, how have you helped the people around you feel more confident about themselves?
I think that, well, first, within myself, I needed to be aware that who I am as a person is a complete and whole and good person. And when I had that awareness with myself, that I'm able to communicate that to others. And when I see people that are could be depressed or have stuff going on, I'm very direct about it, and I will ask them and check in on them and let them know I care. There's been people that I've directed to helplines. There's been people that I've just counseled, and just always letting them know how valuable they are as people.
Thank you, Mr. LeVay.
Depression affects many kids in high school.
Yo, what's wrong, man? What's wrong, dude? You need a girl? I can get you a girl. Bro? What the? What's up, Sam? Yo, what the? Yo, what's up, Sam?
Teens can hide their feelings of depression.
If you ever need someone to talk about your feelings of depression, just call the hotline, this National Suicide Hotline number, 1-800-273-8255.
Sneaking in on the enemy. I like to take my